Hello, everybody. Ugh. A moment. Let me make sure everything's in order here. Yeah, as always, I've gotta make sure the old stream's working. Excuse me if I sound dribbly or coughy or anything like that. I am a little bit sick. Yay. Okay, cool. Oof, excuse me, sorry about that. So today is my mom's birthday. This is the same person that I've spoken about before, my Momma, Elizabeth. She would have been 48 years old today. She's one of the many blood doctrine victims. We're never going to know how many there actually are. But she was one. She was definitely one of them. And if you haven't ever seen before the video that I made about her, it's still up. It's called Watchtower Victims Memorial Day, I think. It has a year next to it, but I'm pretty sure it's like one of the very few that I've made about Watchtower Victims Memorial Day. And I talk a lot, but I think it's like 14 minutes or so long, and I tell the story of how she ended up dying after refusing blood and then going back on it, but then refusing again because she wasn't all there because of the brain swelling that she had. So they ended up making my grandmother, well, they gave the decision to my grandmother and allowed her to decide whether or not my mother would get a blood transfusion because they didn't trust my mother to make that choice for herself because of the brain swelling. And my grandmother ultimately decided not to let my mom have blood. And my mother was not strong enough to even make it to the operating room for the surgery that she was supposed to have to figure out what was actually wrong with her. Because at that point they were saying they didn't really know for sure what was wrong with her, and they were going to do an exploratory surgery to find out for sure, but that she needed to be stronger for it. She needed blood. Excuse me. That she needed blood to be able to survive the surgery, essentially. And they didn't end up giving her blood because my grandmother refused. In fact, many doctors met with my grandmother and my aunt, who was also there, and tried to convince my grandmother, to let her have blood. They said that she would pretty much die for sure if she didn't. And, after hours and hours of that, they were going to try to get a court order to have, blood given to my mom, but it was too late. So, they were wheeling my mom to surgery, and her lungs collapsed because they were pumping air into her manually instead of having her on the respirator, and I guess her lungs were just too weak at that point. And she passed away on the way to the OR. So she was only 32 at the time. She would have been 48 today. Today is her birthday. And I just can't help but wonder, a lot about my mother. Like, what would she be like right now? What would she look like? What would she think of all the new technology that's been happening? What would she think of Donald Trump? I'm sure she'd have some witty remarks about him. My mother is, she was always very witty. And she had really good, she was a comedian, my mom. She was funny. Her jokes were great. But yeah, I just wonder, wonder what things would be like if she were still around. Wonder how my life might be a little different if she were still around. I wonder if, my kids' lives would be any different if I would even have, my kids. I don't know. Because originally my plan was to graduate from high school and go live with her in Florida, and attend college while I lived there with her. That was the plan. Anyway, I just wanted to come on here and acknowledge that it's her birthday and acknowledge the time and the life that was stolen by the Watchtower. I try to acknowledge it whenever I can, wherever I can. It's been a while since I've donated blood, but that's mostly because, if I'm honest, I'm afraid to do so for reasons having to do with me being transgender. I don't really know how that whole thing works. I've looked into it, and it seems to be different for different places. And I know it seems like a really weak excuse to, not do something that's helpful to people just because I'm a little afraid of, of some social stuff. But, well, I guess other trans people will understand, like, it is scary. You're not safe, and you don't feel safe anyway, and you just, maybe you're not, maybe you are, you don't know, that's the thing. And yeah, it's something we deal with literally every day, like all day, so I don't know, I'm just terrified of, I would really hate to find out that I can't actually do it anymore. I'm pretty sure I can, but a thing that I would really not like to have to do is to do it, but have them, misgender me the whole time, or whatever. Like, I feel like it would be a condition that I have to, like, go by my, my dead name while I'm there, and, let them call me she and stuff if I do it. And I feel like that's not nice, but, like, yeah, I don't know, it's complicated. I would, honestly, I'm codependent as hell. I would probably still end up donating, even if it meant me getting misgendered. I just, like, I would really rather not. I would rather that they just, be nice and just call me my name and call me my pronouns and all that stuff. But anyway, that's a whole other rant. I feel like my mom, by the way, wouldn't have a problem with my transition. I feel like she probably would have been supportive. It might have been, like, a little confusing to her at first, maybe. I don't know. I feel like she was more liberal and open-minded than the rest of my family. But, I feel like she would have definitely supported me, either soon after or, like, immediately upon me coming out. And she would have, she would have been there for me. She would have been fine with it. I don't think she would have had much of a problem with it. Probably would have pissed the rest of my family off, actually, if she had my back. Yeah, my mom, she was never one to really, at least not that I remember, she was never really one to back down just because of something being unpopular, if she thought it was the right thing. That's why she was able to go door to door and preach. Oh, hi, Ash. Sorry, I didn't see you there. It was just on a rant. But yeah, that's why my mom was able to go door to door, was because she really believed that what they had was the truth and that it was good and everybody needed it. I had problems going door to door because I wasn't sure that we had the truth. I'm not really sure that there was a point in my entire time as a Jehovah's Witness that I was sure that was the truth and that we were right. I always had some kind of doubt. I felt like, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about before how I've asked questions in the past to my family. How do we know that we're the right religion? How do we know that we have the truth? How do we know that other people aren't right and we're just wrong? I was asking these things as a kid and I was getting shut down. I remember that. I remember they did not like when I would ask stuff like that. And they would say, because it's in the Bible or whatever, some kind of circular logic nonsense answer just to shut me up, pretty much. So, yeah. But my mom really did believe that stuff. So she was indoctrinated with it the same as I was from birth. But I guess it just took for her. Maybe it's because she was like, I don't know. Maybe it's the type of abuse she suffered when she was young that made her more susceptible to it. I'm not sure. I mean, because we both suffered pretty much the same types of abuse. I would say in some cases, certain types of abuse she suffered that I also suffered, hers were just a little bit more severe, I would say. Actually, pretty much all of them were more severe. My mom went through a hell of a lot more in every different type of abuse, I think, than I did. So yeah, maybe that's what did it. It broke her psyche and like made her more susceptible to the brainwashing and made her really believe it. I mean, you need to have something to cling on to and believe in if you're, that broken. I remember a nurse asking me once in the hospital, like, what it was, that it keeps me going if I don't actually believe in God or anything like that. I don't really remember what I told her. I couldn't even answer that question now. What keeps me going? Most people say stuff like, it's my kids, or it's my family, or it's my pet, or I have a project that I'm working on. What keeps me going? Well, some of it's got to be my kids. Not a project. I guess some of it's also that, in addition to my kids and seeing them grow up and stuff, I want to see them grow up in a world where Watchtower doesn't exist. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I still feel like poop here. Trying to fight off sickness, but trying to also stay focused. What keeps me going? Yeah, hope, I guess. Just hope that I get to see the end of the Watchtower, hope in my children, maybe the slightest, most vague, faint hope in the back of my mind that my family will come out of it at some point and I get to see them again too and hang out with them. We'll see. And I know some of you are wondering, why on earth would you want to hang out with them after all the crap they've put you through? Well, honestly, I'm not even really sure how I'll feel if that ever happens. If it does happen, I guess I'll, as Eden likes to say, burn that bridge when I get to it. But I think that I would probably lean toward being forgiving if they seemed genuinely, remorseful over, the stuff that happened, and they apologized and all that stuff, then yeah, I think I could probably forgive it. It would take a little bit of time, but I could probably do it. And, especially if it meant the foundation of a new relationship being built with my family, I'd be willing to try. But like I said, that's like the faintest little flicker of a tiny glimmer of hope in the very back of my mind. So it barely even counts as something that keeps me going. What really keeps me going is, I guess, my kids and my will to see the cult that destroyed my existence, and my healthy existence anyway, the possibility of my healthy existence, that destroyed that and destroyed generations of my family and destroyed others as well, untold numbers of others. I want to see them go down. I want to see them vanish from the face of this planet. Or at least just die and only be, scattered remains. I'm just done. Yeah. I also don't think that my mom would. I don't think she would still be in the cult. I think I would have probably gotten her to see what was going on. She was more reasonable, more logical. She would have been willing to look at it. Plus, the woman was already like celebrating Christmas and crap. Like I've told you guys before, she was not a practicing witness at the end of her life, which was why I thought it was bizarre that my grandmother enforced the witness, rules on her, and made her made her not have blood. She based it off of, my mother, who was, delusional because of the brain swelling, because she based it off of what my mother said. My mother had gone back and forth about wanting blood when she first entered the hospital, but again, that was because of brain swelling. And my grandma tried to base it off of that, I guess. She claims that that's what she based her decision off of. But I know that it's the brainwashing, because like any logical person, and my grandma hadn't been in the cult either for a while. She had been out and doing all kinds of crap that was super not okay with them. We'll just put it that way. And it was extra bizarre, because like, why would you do that? You're not in the cult either, right? Like, why would you enforce rules on somebody when? And I don't know. The only thing I can think of, and this is in my conspiracy theory mind, and she'd have to be really cold-hearted to do this. The only thing I can think of is that if it's not the brainwashing, then it's just that she wanted a way back in. And my mother was a way back in. If she did the right thing and my mom survived, then great, they could both go back in and all that great shit. See, now that's like the worst case scenario. I don't think my grandmother is that evil. I really do think it's just the brainwashing. I think that she felt like that really was the thing that she was supposed to do, and she was afraid that if she didn't do it, that weird Jehovah's Witness like fear in the back of your mind kicks in, and she was afraid that if she didn't do it, that she was not only going to end up killing her daughter for sure, but also ruining any chances of her being resurrected, and also the same for herself. So, sure, it's still kind of selfish, but it's brainwashing, and it's not like she was actively sociopathically or psychopathically plotting to trade my mother, as some kind of a a blood tithe or something, blood offering, in exchange for getting back in the cult and getting in their good graces again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my grandma's just brainwashed. And at this point, She's not going to be coming out anytime soon or ever. I don't anticipate ever because, like I've probably said plenty of times on here, if my grandmother were to leave the cult, she would have to accept that she participated in my mother's death. For nothing. For no reason. Yeah. And my mom isn't any better off because of it, and neither is she. Anyway, I don't know what my mother would think of everything. I feel like my mother would forgive my grandmother because, the brainwashing thing. My mother was just a very forgiving person in general. That I don't know if that was really her or if that was, beaten into her. But she did seem like a genuinely nice person, so I'll choose to believe it was that. My mother was, I thought, a nice person. She seemed fun. And I miss her. The good times that I had with her, I miss. She wasn't perfect or anything. Remember, she was from an abusive household. She was from the cult too, so she had her own issues, and she was a bit abusive herself at times. But I do miss the person that my mother was when she was healthy, or at least the faint glimmers of her that I got to see, the real her, the healthy her, in between all the madness and the sickness and the sorrow. I don't really, like I said, I don't believe in God or anything like that, but I believe in, the universe and stuff, and parallel universes are, they seem like they might be a thing. I hope that she's alive in a parallel universe somewhere. And I hope that, when I die and my parts scatter into the universe again, all the little bits of my consciousness, that somehow in some way, some of my consciousness bits meet up with hers again. Even if it's just a brief passing breeze kind of thing. Anyway, the last thing I want to say before I get off is that I went to see Cats today, and I think that's something she really would have liked, actually. I wore this to Cats, and my Christmas pants and my monster feet and this ridiculous hat and all this other stuff. Yeah, these pants have cats on them, in case you didn't see that. Christmas pants, but they are cats. I know. The worst. And yeah, the monster feet. Yes, I wore this in public. I've worn worse in public. I almost wore my Hello Kitty footed pajamas. They're just a little too tight on me, though. They've gotten a little tight around the shoulder area. But yeah, I wish my mom had been alive for Cats. She the new one, because she would have been delighted by how freaking awful that was. If you want to see a terrible, terrible movie that will give you nightmares for weeks, go see Cats in theaters now. All right, folks. Happy birthday to my mom. And that was the very last minute of her birthday. Cool. If you're out there in the universe somewhere, Mom, Mama, Ma, I miss you and I love you. And I forgive you for the stuff that happened, when you weren't healthy in yourself. And I hope our consciousness bits cross paths again sometime. All right, folks. I hope you have a good evening and that you're all well. Please try to express what you can to each other while you're still here, while your consciousnesses are able to communicate directly with each other and whatnot. Give each other a hug. Send each other a text. Tell a friend you love them. Tell a family member you love them. Tell somebody you appreciate them that you aren't really sure knows that you appreciate them. It can't hurt, even if they already do know, can't hurt to hear it again while you're here, Anyway, take care of yourselves and each other.